we look back through time, there's always been this desire to get a higher picture. We continue to go higher and higher to get a better and better picture to understand what's going on. I'm Keith Masbach. I've been working in the remote sensing field for over 30 years. Today, I'm going to share with you just a few tips and tricks on how to look at satellite imagery. The coordinates are in the description if you want to follow along. It says that you never want to look at just one image. You want to understand context, and you want to understand a place over time, because that's really where you're going to start to be able to pull some real observations. The benefit of looking at some place over time is you're being able to see patterns. You're being able to see progression. Why don't we look at some examples in nature? One rule of thumb in the imagery analysis business is Mother Nature doesn't make a lot of straight lines. So your eye as an imagery analyst immediately goes to anything that looks perfectly straight. Another example is deforestation. Again, that's man-made activity that comes really, really clear on remote sensing, especially from space. Man tends to cut things in very clear patterns, so you see sort of football field-sized pieces disappear at a time. And it's very easy to see, despite whatever a country or a region or a company might be saying they're doing, it's pretty easy to call them out. So one case I might point to is what's going on in the Arctic and the retreat of glaciers. You can start to see how they're depositing sediment and how the sediment is being increasingly exposed to the sun. And instead of the very white ice reflecting the sun's rays, that sediment is actually collecting heat and contributing in turn to a faster retreat of those glaciers. Next, let's turn to man-made structures. Man-made activity that's certainly important in my background is looking at military activity. Military people tend to like order. They like to do things repeatedly. During the Cold War, we would watch the Soviets rigidly adhere to doctrine. They would always assemble their forces in the same way. And in fact, today even, the Russians still tend to do that. We're seeing very similar patterns to what we saw when they invaded Crimea several years ago. Their signature pieces of equipment, their signature activity, the way they rail load and move their forces, the way they're parked, the way they're aligned. These patterns are very easy to spot. Another sort of sad example of being able to use remote sensing